Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Platinum Drifter here with yet another drag tune for all you beginners out there. This is the Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat 2015. Now, people have been saying, traction control usually helps and stuff like that, but in most lobbies, you will not get traction control. In fact, I've been dragging for maybe almost 10 years and I've never once used traction control. It's all about you and the car, in my opinion. So yeah, if you want to use traction control, that's up to yourselves, but you won't be liked, you'll kind of be disliked towards other players that do drag racing, or especially all the OG racers like myself. But yeah, we're going to get straight into this build now anyway, and the first thing we want to do is give this car all the horsepower that I can possibly get. So 983 horsepower. You'd want to lower the weight to it gets to 1465. Use the racing super soft tires. Now, suspension. People mess around with the suspension most of the time, but I'm only doing what I know. And the suspension is the front and rear is all the way up. Now you leave the front of the car as strong as possible, as in make sure that's stiff. And usually the back of the car when I was drag racing is a little bit lighter, weaker. So everything on the front of the car has to be up to the full on the all the way to the right on everything. All this stuff has to come off, like the toe angle and camber angle all needs to go down to zero. So now we have to put this up. That's okay there, that's okay there, and that's okay there. So make sure that you have all the settings there right. Now we go down here to the differential. This can be played around with, but usually a start off point is 60, 60, and 20. As I say, you can lower the acceleration if you don't want as much power going to the wheels at when you put your foot down, or if you're using a controller R2 to the last, it will kind of leave less wheel spin, but it will slow your sensitivity down as seen. So usually some people mess around with the torque and maybe lower that down and see if they get a better launch off the line. Now the drivetrain or transmission in this is a little confusing because, as you see, the final gear is already set to 620. Now that is probably too low to even start a tune for this car. The reason being is because the horsepower is almost at 1,000. So you'd want to bring that up to roughly maybe 795, 2.795 should be a good starter for you. And lower your max speed down to 155. Now here's where people get confused because there's 7 gears in this car and people don't know what to do with the 7th, 6th and 5th. But in fact it's all pretty much the same as a 6 gear car. So you go to first gear and all the way to the left. Second gear is all the way to the left. Third gear, we'll worry about that after. So sixth, seventh gear is all the way to the right. Sixth is the same, and fourth is the same. Now, fourth, well, you can play around with fourth a little bit. You bring it kind of between halfway, roughly, of the center line and the line on the far right, going facing upwards. And that is usually roughly about right to where you want to have that gear. You can knock this down to make the graph look even. I'm kind of a not an OCD freak, but if it doesn't look right to me, I'll have to change it. But so yeah, so then you go down to the final gear, drop that all the way down to 2.000. and your max speed should be 226. Now that's still pretty fast, but as I said, this car has a lot and a lot of power going to the wheels. So you kind of want to stretch that. For all the OG tuners know that that's like, that wants to be stretched out, but maybe new beginners now can play around with this, the drag tune or the tuning for the gears yourselves and figure it out. And then when you become good at it, then you have the edge on the competition. So that is all pretty much set up now. You have your gears should be looking something like that, if not the same. And now we'll go on to the track and I'll show you the quarter mile in this car. It is roughly about 9 seconds from the start line of this track to the 400-meter mark, which is roughly about a quarter mile. There's 402 meters or 400.2 of meters in a quarter mile. So this track would be your pretty much your best track to even try and do drag tunes on instead of the Blue Moon oval track, because that track is like, the surface wouldn't be the same or anything like that. And if you try to test out tunes here like I've already done, and they don't seem to be as quick there, is because that the surface over there is a little bit slippier. So you could play around with your acceleration and torque on that track if preferred to play on that track, but this has everything set out for you. So I will go in second gear on a launch, and we will go at 10, 110. See the way the car wants to kind of move around a little bit? Now that was a very bad launch, but yeah, the car should roughly do about a 9 or 10 seconds lap. I'll go back from 400 to the finish line and I'll show you. That's 500. Let me see now. 400, here we go. Traction control on here has to be off. I'm using no traction control because it's the way I drag race, but we'll go at 150. Well, that was before 150, but you can probably play it back on the track anyway and see it. So that would have been roughly about a 10 second run because I left a bit earlier. But yeah, you have the idea now anyway, guys. So please make sure you subscribe. Please like and please post a comment on it saying what cars you want to see or you are having trouble with, and I will try to get back to you as quick as I possibly can.